What's up, ghouls, horror hounds, and very confused people that have accidentally wandered across this page? My name's Haley. Hi, welcome to the Horror Hound Horror Hour. Did I just do something? This video is not going to be an hour. I struggled to make a 20-minute video earlier. Bottoms up. We are going to talk about glamour ghouls today. First question you probably have, what the heck even is that? Well, that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who calls herself an unofficial glamour ghoul, I'm here to lay down the history and the definition, at least my interpretation of the definition, because guess what? If you try to Google glamour ghoul to get any sort of answers, the only thing that pops up is Malia Naomi's biography. I mean, as it should. She basically started this whole thing, but that's the only thing you're going to find on Google. Guess that is my sign that I need to read that. Don't know why I haven't yet. I'm a bad little glamour ghoul. Does YouTube get mad? This is apple juice, by the way. Also, I'm very obviously over the age of 21, despite the fact that I'm sitting here with Matt Dallies. Yes, he is wearing lipstick. I can't get it off of him. Alright, so what is a glamour ghoul? The way I take it, very simple definition, someone spooky who is also glamorous. Very simple. But where did this begin? Who originated this term glamour ghoul like we use it today? Well, there's a simple answer for that and a not so simple answer, so let's dive right in. The first person to ever actually coin the phrase glamour ghoul was Vampira Malia Naomi. Very sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. Anyway, she is the first person to actually coin the phrase glamour ghoul. When she became Vampira, she had this like glamour ghoul squad was like her fan club, basically. That is what they were called. But is she the first one? She actually is not. And the only reason, well, I won't say the only reason, the main reason she became Vampira in the first place was because she was actually spotted at a Halloween party in Hollywood. And it was her costume that gave, like, whoever saw her and was like, ding, 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 this idea for this show and to cast her in this show. She was dressed as the mother from the Charles Addams comic strip in the New Yorker, which we know today as the Addams Family. That is where the Addams Family originated from. And she was actually dressed as Morticia before we even knew Morticia's name, because none of the characters actually got a name until the TV show in 1964. So does that mean Morticia Addams is the first glamour ghoul? Actually, no. I mean, depending on who you ask, yes, she is the reason that that word was even created and invented. But there's actually someone that predates even Charles Addams' New Yorker strip, and that is The Bride of Frankenstein. That movie actually came out in 1935. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure 1935. And despite the fact that she has 2 minutes of screen time, even though the movie is named after her, you know, it was 1935, what are we gonna do? She became this cultural icon based off looks alone. She didn't even speak in that movie, she just screamed, which, relatable. I think that's why we all loved her so much. She was just serving face and saying what we were all thinking without even speaking. So me personally, I consider her the first glamour ghoul because it's the first time we are seeing a glamorous woman, because she very much was. That's also being creepy on our screen. I mean, she's an amalgamation of dead body parts. That is pretty creepy, but also she is so gorgeous. Like, she is Frank the monster's ideal woman for a reason. She is so pretty, and this is kind of the first time that we see these two ideas being meshed into one. So really, she was a caking off point. She was very iconic. And I personally think she was a big inspiration for another one of our glamour ghouls that we are going to get into in a minute. So we get The Bride of Frankenstein in 1935. We get Charles Addams' New Yorker cartoon in 1938, I believe, is when that first came out. And then we have The Vampire Show, which started in 1954 and ran through 1955. Very surprising that that show was only on for like a year or a season, however long it was on for. I'm shocked by that because she basically invented the horror hostess as we know it today. Like, we would not have Elvira, we would not have Joe Bob Briggs, we wouldn't have Svengoolie, none of them if it was not for the Vampire Show. She is a cultural icon, and she is an iconic glamour ghoul. So she came next, and then it's a bit of a dry spell for about 10 years, and then finally, in 1964, the Addams Family gets a TV adaptation. We finally get names for these characters, and we see Morticia Addams brought to the small screen, black and white, still looking as glamorous as ever, kind of making a new norm. And she was supposed to be very abnormal. That was the whole point of the Addams Family. But we are seeing this gorgeous, gorgeous woman portrayed by Carolyn Jones, iconic, being so pretty, so sexy, while also being the weirdest lady on the block who scares everyone away from their house. I mean, she's just an icon for us weirdos out there. And she kind of is responsible for bringing the glamour ghoul back into the public eye because, like I said, it had been a dry spell after the Vampire Show. Now, you can argue that any woman in a Hammer horror movie is a glamour ghoul, and I would agree with you. But reaching, still talked about today's status, reaching icon status, it's Morticia Addams that brings it back. And then only a few months after the Addams Family premiered, competing network has their version of the Addams Family, which the shows are very, very different. They're not the same at all. But then The Munsters comes out, and we have Lily Munster, who almost looks like a callback to The Bride of Frankenstein. We're sort of breaking back out of that mold that seems like glamour ghouls need to just be in a tight black dress and have black hair. Not saying that that's not amazing. That is my vibe every single day. But it's nice to see something a little fresh, something a little bit different, because she had to be different from Morticia. You couldn't have pretty much the exact same looking woman on these competing shows that are also very similar while being very different. And fun fact, Lily was not the original mother for the Munsters. The pilot episode that was never aired, that was just shown to the network to get it picked up, was a different woman, not Yvonne DiCarlo, playing a totally different character. Her name was Phoebe Munster, and she was like copy paste of Morticia Addams, long black hair, tight black dress, pale skin. Like, she didn't have Lily's dramatic makeup, nothing like that. It was literally like that Office meme. Like, it's the same picture. So unfortunately for that actress, Phoebe got scrapped. But lucky for us, we got Lily out of it. We got someone different and kind of forced them to be creative while still being in bounds of what is a glamour ghoul. And I think Lily really ramped up the glamour despite living in all this dust and filth and dirt. Like, she was so pretty. Eye makeup was always done. Her makeup was a lot more dramatic compared to 1960s Morticia. I mean, compared to the movies Morticia, they're kind of on par, but she had a lot more makeup going on. And Lily actually got to change her dress. She had at least 2, maybe 3 dresses she cycled through in the 2 years that the series was on the air, which is so refreshing. As iconic as the Addams Family costumes were, why couldn't they change? Why couldn't they have different clothes? That's for a different video. Then it's almost as if we hit another dry spell, but a lot longer, between iconic glamour ghouls coming onto our screen. It just happened with my camera. It isn't until 1981 that we get a new glamour ghoul added to the horror lexicon in the form of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, who is my absolute favorite. We should all say thank you to the universe that Elvira was created, that Cassandra Peterson was born, because chef's kiss. But I'm not going to spend the rest of this video just talking about how much I love Elvira. I could do an hour-long video essay on that. But let's get into some of the history there instead of me just ranting and raving. So Elvira happened because the network wanted to revive the Vampira show, and the role that Cassandra Peterson auditioned for was called Daughter of Vampira. Malia Naomi was attached to this project, and they were just kind of going to revamp the whole horror hostess thing with kind of a fresher face. I do believe that Vampira was going to make appearances, but not as frequently because she was pretty old at this point, which why shouldn't she be on TV? But Hollywood is shallow. So that's kind of the reason they were trying to bring someone new in. And everything was all set. Production was going to start. Cassandra was cast. She had this role, thank God. And something happened, and Malia Naomi was like, no, pull the plug. I do not want Vampira attached to this. No. Now, we could get into this a little bit. Poor Malia, like, as she got older, she didn't have a good support system. She had a lot of mental health issues, I do believe. I don't know the story in its entirety, so I'm not going to speak on it too much because I could say the complete wrong thing, and I don't want to, like, besmirch this iconic woman who has done so much for horror history. So I'll leave it at that. She had some issues. She did not have a proper support system, so things got a bit hinky, we'll say. And instead of just pulling the plug on the project, thank goodness the network was like, we'll just change her name. We just won't have the Vampira name attached. So basically, they said to cast, crew, craft services, everybody that was like in the room, they were like, okay, write a name down, put it in a hat, we're just going to draw a name, and that is going to be this character. And that is how Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, came to be. Elvira is what got pulled out of that hat. And Cassandra Peterson's first reaction, I believe, was, isn't that a country song? Like, is that spooky? But now I think a lot more people associate Elvira with her and not the Oak Ridge Boys. And not as much Scarface, I don't think either. Also, what's the name of the witch from Wizard of Oz? Not the witch, but like when she's in Kansas. Who played Morticia Addams' mother on the Addams Family? She was Granny Frump. Frump with a hard F. So they, stop it, my camera. So they go ahead with Elvira's movie Macabre, and then the rest is history. Like, we got amazing movies out of her. She is still doing the Elvira thing. I love her so much. She's such an inspiration to me. So I'm very happy that she came onto the scene. But as for like who you think of with iconic Glamour Ghoul, it is pretty much all the women I just mentioned. We really haven't had like a new one be added to the lexicon. I don't know if I'm using that word right. It's like that Princess Bride moment. I don't know if that means what you think it means, but there are like arguments could be made for other characters being classified as a glamour ghoul, because like I said, it's anybody spooky and glamorous. So you could argue that, wrong way, Miss Tiffany Valentine, she's looking rough here, she could definitely be classified as a glamour ghoul. She's spooky, she's glamorous. If you guys watch the series, the Chucky series, which I definitely think you should, it's very good. I think some people disagree with that. I don't. I think it's amazing. This most recent season, spoilers, Tiffany is in jail rocking Louboutins. If that's not glamour ghoul, I don't know what is. But you could say, like the Hex Girls from Scooby-Doo. They could be considered glamour ghouls for sure. Vampirella, 100%. I want to know your thoughts on this. Is Baby Firefly a glamour ghoul? Because hear me out. First movie, House of a Thousand Corpses, she gets all dolled up. She does her little burlesque number. She's looking very glamorous. She's also very terrifying. So I think that would qualify her. But then the next two movies, she's a little bit grimy. I don't think she's showering. And even in the first movie, she's got corpses just all around her. She can't smell good. So I want to know what you guys think. Does she qualify, or is she just a little bit too grungy? But I do believe anybody who wants to call themselves a glamour ghoul can call themselves a glamour ghoul. It is not gender specific. You can be any gender. You cannot have a gender and be a glamour ghoul. If you just embody that spirit, if you just, you know, love the way you look and are a little bit creepy about it, boom, congratulations, you are a glamour ghoul. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to my little rant here. I just something I'm very passionate about, really wanted to talk about, and I feel like this shirt was appropriate. I got this in Savannah, Georgia, my favorite city in the entire United States. Love it so much. I will move there one day. Not the point of this video, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Please do something spooky today. Watch a horror movie. Prank your neighbor. You know, jump out at your mom from under a cabinet. Just make sure you don't kill her in the process. That is important. Movie deaths only. But thank you guys so much, and if you want to hit that like and subscribe button, please do. It really helped me out a lot. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at its_Haley Adams, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye. Oh god, that sounded too much like Bailey Sarian. I'm not trying to copy anyone. Okay, peace out. We'll do that. Okay, peace out.